I did my persuasive speech on teenagers getting in car accidents. I chose this topic because I have been in car accidents myself, and I'm just curious on other teenagers and see how it's been affecting them as well. So that's why I chose this topic. The number one cause of teenagers' deaths are car accidents. Teenagers are 4 times more likely to be killed in car crashes than any other age group. The driving age must be increased from 16 years old to 18 years old so that these kids have time to mature and to understand how serious and understand the responsibilities there are to driving a motor vehicle. If the driving age gets risen, the percentage of teens surviving will increase dramatically. Statistics show that teenagers ignore basic safety rules while driving, such as speeding and wearing seatbelts. 60% of teens were killed in car accidents because they weren't wearing seatbelts and they flew through the windshield and died on impact. These crashes mostly occur over the weekend between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. That's when, teenagers have their parties and some of them been drinking and make really bad choices and decide to drive home while they've been under the influence of alcohol or been using drugs at that party on the weekends. 50% of these crashes over the weekends involve drugs or alcohol, and 80% of the crashes were the driver's error. Teenagers, as you know, like to hang out with friends, and when they drive around with their friends, they get distracted a lot easier when they're by themselves, and they try to be the big shot and show them how fast their car can go, so they'll be speeding, and just they'll be avoiding traffic laws, running red lights when no other cars around. It's the little things that they do with their friends that can end their lives. 15% of car crashes today are from teenagers with friends. The driving law should be raised to 18 at this age because at this age they'll have a greater capacity to understand the responsibility of driving. Also, at the age of 18, they tend to be more mature, which will make them make better decisions behind the wheel. I believe the driving age should be raised to 18 because of the facts that I've stated before prove me correct. For example, teenagers are 4 times more likely to be killed in car crashes than any other age group. That's ridiculous. Teenagers no, that should not happen. Teenagers, no, this no. 60% of teens were killed in car accidents because they weren't wearing seatbelts. The fact that teenagers are not smart enough to wear seatbelts while they get behind a vehicle, that should be a no-brainer that they're clearly not ready to drive. If they're not going to understand the safety about driving, they shouldn't be behind the wheel. That's why we need to raise it to 18, because 18-year-olds, they tend to be more mature, and like I said before, they will have a greater capacity of understanding the responsibility of driving, which will make them have better decisions behind the wheel. All this shows that teenagers don't make good decisions behind the wheel, and it's proven. They don't wear seatbelts, they're speeding, they disobey traffic laws, teenagers today are irresponsible behind the wheel. If we change the driving age to 18, there will be less car accidents and less teenagers dead. We need to change the law to 18. 16-year-olds, they just can't do it. It's too young. And I'm not saying every 16-year-old is gonna die behind a car, but there's multiple cases where teens have died, but they shouldn't have because of the age of what they were driving at. So, as I said before, we need to raise the driving age to 18, and less teenagers will be killed from car accidents because of this.